to a Lightning Collector 2021 review, where today we're going to be taking a look at the brand spanking new Toys Battalion Power Squad 6-pack. These are a 1/12 scale action figure set, and we do have all 6 of the Power Rangers, the movie-based figures, all in one box to unpack at the same time. It's not like Mezco that had given us a 5-pack and then we had to buy this Ranger separately. It was just pay and it's done. So happy days with that. I'm more than pleased to do that because I did miss out on some of the other Mezco stuff, so big shame for that. But anyway, here they are, third-party Power Ranger based figures, again by Toys Battalion, and this is a great little set. However, it does come with its problems. But before we take a look at those problems, we will just quickly go through the box. So we've got our Power Squad 1/12 scale action figure logo, or whatever it is at the top, against this nice matte finish, and the Rangers are cut out in like a gloss black, so that looks quite nice. We've got some silver piping around the top, and on one side of the box we've got 3 of our Ranger coins. So you can see we've got the bear, the frog and the ape on this side. On the other side we do have the others, so we've got our falcon, the bear and the crane, and on the top and the bottom of the box we have just got our Power Squad logo. Finally, on the bottom, we've got our morpher, and inside the morpher, we've just got some warning labels telling us it's made by Toys Battalion and it come all the way from China. So I did buy this from 1/6 Kit. They've always been pretty good, where I've always got my item. I've never paid any customs fees or imports charges or anything like that. But anyway, let's take a look at this. This was quite an expensive set. It was around about £300. So let's take a look and have a look at those figures. So out of the main box, we do get 3 separate trays, a little bit like the Mezco. So the first one, this comes with the black, the blue and the red. There's nothing else inside there. It is literally just the figures inside. The next one, we have got the white, the pink and the yellow. Yes, this one's missing a hand because I just popped it off so I could put it back in just to show you, because I have got him displayed with the sword at the moment. The rest I left in the box, and just wanting to kind of have one laying around that I could just have a little fiddle around with for a couple of days and just see how we go. And lastly, we do get the tray of stuff. Lots of hands there. We do have our saber, which is here and attached to a hand. And then we've got our holsters and our blasters. We do also get Kim's weapon, and this one doesn't come with Billy's, which I thought was a little bit strange that they've added that in and not Billy's whip. But it doesn't bother me too much. I'm probably not going to display her with that because I have got the 1/6 scale figures and she is displayed with that. So I will try and have a little bit of variety here. And taking a look outside of the packaging, here is our Black Ranger. So he looks very nice, absolutely beautiful, nice glossy figure. I do think they have some problems. The neck for one is really long, but that doesn't bother me too much. It just looks a bit odd, especially maybe with the shape of his helmet. But the feet are very loose, especially with these. On the females, there is a little bit of a weird thing going on, so I'll show you that in a sec. The hands do pop off quite easily, and the articulation isn't great because the suit is so tight. But I suppose there is probably people out there that will do something with it. Personally, I'll probably just stand him like that, just to make sure that his shelf life is a little bit longer than doing some crazy poses, because it can tend to split underneath here, and obviously I don't want to be doing that. But taking a look at the coin in the middle, you can see we've got the frog. So this is after they've gone through the whole Ninjetti stage in the movie, and they did change their coins, so they ended up with the great power. I'm glad that they made this change and didn't just use the same ones that we got on the 1/6 scale. You can see the coin again is the same inside the morpher, and other than that, it's pretty much just what we've seen before, other than being a smaller figure. I will compare these to some other figures later so you can see the size, and I was going to do this review later on in the week, but a lot of people just keep asking for it. So here it is. The armor looks really cool, and if you've got the 1/6 scale figures, you will know exactly what to expect, because there isn't a whole lot different going on there. Now the Black Ranger, I did put the holster and that in just while I was playing around with it, so they haven't all got them. I will attach them on later on in the video. But here is the Blue Ranger, so here's Billy. Again, he's got the coin correctly in the middle there. We've got the wolf, his suit looks nice, bright and blue. We do need to attach the holster on again. But yeah, the suit is practically what we're gonna see the same throughout. So please bear with me whilst we do that. He looks very nice. I like that they've given the right color of the morphers. They look pretty cool. Next up, we've got Rocky. I like the helmet on this one. It looks really nice, but I do wish they'd given the other visor. That would have just been really cool. Maybe even just for this figure. I mean, I wouldn't want it on like the Yellow Ranger. I thought the helmet was pretty bulky, but it would have been nice to have some variety on that one. Suit looks very red and vibrant. You can see at the bottom there, the feet are just weird. I don't really understand. They're very loose. You kind of have to make sure they're on without snapping a peg, but also using that to kind of cover the gap. As you can see at the back there, there is quite a gap, so it's a little bit of a shame. I'm not sure if these knee pads are supposed to be down here, because if I remember rightly, this little bit of material should have been at the top of the boot, but at the same time it looks like that should kind of fit in that gap there. They do sometimes look like they're wearing some nappies, but this isn't too bad. It's not as bad as the 1/6 scale. I just love the 1/6 scale though. I just feel like it's such a big figure, and it's definitely making a statement with these kind of suits. But anyway, back to Rocky. You can see he's got his coloured morpher there, the same as what you would expect, and then he's got his ape in the middle. And again, I do really like the helmet on that one. Next up, we've got Kimberly. So she is fresh out of the box. There's a little bit of something going on there with a suit. I'm not really quite sure what that is, but the female figures, they do feel very, very thin. I would be a little bit careful with this, especially as Kimberly's helmet is quite large. It does look very strange. I think that armor probably could have went down a little bit more, or maybe put the shoulder armor up a little bit, just to kind of close that gap a little bit more, because it does look very strange. Looks like she's got a bigger body than she has arms and legs. But yeah, this one just doesn't look great. If you kind of look inside there, you can see all the stitching coming away and whatever, and it just doesn't look good. Very disappointing in that figure. I like the pink, I like the color, I like the helmet. It looks very glossy. The armor looks nice. You can see she's got the crane in there as well. But I just think quality of these, just they're not as good. You can see there when you try and pose, it's just flicking back because the suit is so tight. Obviously it's kind of stretchy rubber, but I'm not going to complain too much. I mean, they come out to about £50 a figure really, so that's not the end of the world. And I definitely would have paid it even if they were singly, but I just think the quality on them isn't that great. And yeah, I understand they're a third-party figure. They're not an officially licensed Hasbro figure or anything like that, but still. And finally, for the females, we've got Aisha. Again, similar sort of thing with what's going on with these little bands. I'm pretty sure they're meant to be like here. They're not actually armbands. They're not like, they kind of look like they're wrestlers, but it's fine. And this is the issue I was having with the boot. So you can see the difference just in this gap here. It's almost as though they've just used the same male as they have on the female, and it just doesn't quite fit properly. I'm glad they fixed the yellow on this one, so I'm happy with it. I don't think it looks overly awful. I don't think any of them do really. I think once you pose them and leave them, they'll probably be okay, but then just not something really that you're gonna be doing crazy poses with. Or if you do, then obviously that's your own, do that at your own risk, but I will not be doing that. Mine will probably just be standing similar like this. But I do like the yellow one. The only thing that bugs me is the material change in the neck. I feel like they could have just done something a little bit more with that. I don't know if I'm expecting too much. Let me know in the comments if you think that I'm expecting too much, but I've still paid my money for these, and although I'm happy with them, like I said at the beginning, they definitely have their problems. So finally, we do have Tommy Oliver. Now this one, I feel like they've made more of an effort with this, and I really don't know why, but you can see they've got that nice pearl white, which comes out really, really nice against the rubber on the white suit. His helmet looks lovely, his shield looks amazing. I'm just so much more happier with this one than I am the others. Maybe it's just because it's all white, it kind of blends together a little bit better and hides any imperfections, but I don't feel like, other than that crappy bit at the bottom of the boot, but I'm gonna display them obviously facing forward. Yeah, he just looks a lot better. I mean, the 1/6 scale figure for me, that is probably one of my favorite 1/6 figures of this White Ranger, so I'm probably a little bit biased to this, but yeah, this just looks amazing. I think it finishes the team off very nicely, and he stands really tall, looks beautiful. I just love everything about that. I definitely would have bought these together. Even if they were separately, I would have bought all of them, but I would have had priority on that White Ranger. But now we've taken a look at the figures anyway, let's take a little bit of time just to go through the accessories. Moving on to the accessories, I will not go through every individual hand, so don't worry about that, because I am just going to leave these as they are. But here's the holster. This is a little bit different to the 1/6 one, so it feels a lot thicker. I don't know if there's like a little bit of soft plastic in there somewhere, but there's no Velcro on the side just to close it together, and it definitely doesn't need it either. I will put this on in a sec so we can have a look, but this comes with all 5 holsters for each Ranger. It also comes with their blaster. Now, we never actually saw them use this in a movie, so it was just kind of shoved in their belt and left, but the detail on it's pretty good. I don't know if they've kind of guessed some of it or whatever, or managed to find pictures of it. It also comes with the Pterodactyl Thunder Whip. Now, this has got a little bit less detail on it, but at least they've kind of put some colours on it. And again, I won't be displaying mine with this, I don't think, so that will just be going back in the box, but it looks pretty cool. It would have been nice to have had a little something on the end like the Legacy figure, but other than that, it's just standard of what it is. And finally, we do have Tommy's saber, so you can see in his hand there. The head is gold, and there is a lot of gold on this. They have obviously had their own interpretation of this, which is okay. I'm fine with that. It was the same as the 1/6 scale. No movable blade or anything like that, it just stays where it is. As my 1/6 figure has not got it displayed, I will be leaving that one in there like that. Attaching these holsters on is pretty easy. All we do is turn that around. There is a little bit of Velcro. I would recommend holding that on when you muck about with it, because on one of my 1/6 figures I did pull it and it is just kind of glued on. I don't think it's actually stitched on very well, so just be careful with that, but you can just pop that off and we can just attach our holster on there. So let's put Kimberly just to the side for a sec. Now, I believe that it goes this way. If I'm wrong, then I apologize, and I'm sure someone will let me know. But my 1/6 figures, I did put it all on this side, so I'm just going to do the same, and all we do is put it through the little hole like that. Now we want to find a bit of the waist where it's going to fit and try and line it up roughly where you want it, because once you get it on, you do have to kind of stretch it a little bit. So let's try and get that on there. And this is the same size as the males, so it does look a little bit big, which is just a tad annoying, I guess. And then we can just pop that inside. I don't think it matters which way round it goes, and to be honest, it does just slide all the way down anyway, so you're never going to notice either way. Once you have a little play around with it, you'll be able to make sure that that's in the right place wherever you want it. I believe that's okay. I don't think I'd be able to put it down much more than that. The back doesn't look incredibly tidy, but it's what it is. And again, I'm just going to display it from the front anyway. So that looks fine. I'm okay with that. And I have changed the hand there, so you can see Tommy is holding the saber. It does come with a closed fist out of the box. And you do have to be careful with these. The pins are very small and they do tend to fall off quite a lot. I didn't feel that I got that so much with the other ones, but this one definitely does that. So again, you do have to be a little bit careful. It's a shame that these don't come with a stand, because they don't stand that great either. I may or may not see if I can find some sort of stand that will hook their feet, and hope that that will be okay. But let's move on to the articulation and see how that goes. I'm not expecting a whole lot of the articulation from here, and I will be very careful because I don't want to break them, I don't want to rip them, and I'm only going to go through with the blue one because they are all just going to be the same. But starting at the top, the head does move up and down. It is quite restricted because of the suit underneath. It does almost go over the peg. It's got some butterflies there and some movement on the arm, and do you know what? I feel like I'm just wasting your time by doing this, so I do apologize. See, they don't stand up great either because of the feet, so the feet are horrendous. That's about as much as I would want to move the arm up, and again around it doesn't want to go up more than that because the suit's in the way. Goes back okay, so we do need to kind of twist it around to be able to play with it. There are double joints in the elbows and the hands do move around, but again very limited because of the suit, and they will fall off. We're on a ball in the midsection. There's some ab crunch in there and all that sort of stuff. The legs move out a tiny bit, and again that's as much as you're going to get. Up, that's as much as I'm willing to go. You can turn around, so there's obviously some upper thigh swivel, some double joint on the knees, and then the feet are on a ball, which are very, very loose. So really, really, really bad articulation. And I'm sure there are people out there who will push this to the limits and not be scared of breaking it, but that is just not me, unfortunately. So apologies for the articulation there. And as you can see, 3 out of 5 of them that are standing at the back have all fallen over, and it is because of these feet. You can see there that they just don't really want to do anything. So you have to kind of push the feet down like you would with a normal figure, but it just doesn't want to stay. They're just awful. I think I will, if anybody knows of any kind of stand that I could use for these, please let me know. Comparing these to some other figures, we will bring some others in because so many people will ask me how they scale. with each figure, so let's take a look at those. First off, bringing in Mezco's 1/12 collective figures, you can see that they are a little bit thicker and a little bit shorter. So although they are sitting on stands, you can see that the black one is still a little bit bigger. They are slightly posed where his feet are a little bit spread and the Black Ranger's slightly got his knees bent. So I don't think it's far off anyway, but even when you kind of put him on the stand there, you can see he's a little bit bigger and quite a lot thinner. You can especially see it with the females that they're... See what I mean with the feet? They just don't want to stand. Stay there. You can see that she's quite a bit skinnier than the Mezco figures. They've got quite a lot of padding in just to beef out the body, and I think that one looks great. I think these look okay. They are nice to look at, but I don't think I would be putting those next to each other because they do look a lot different. And next to the Lightning Collection figures, you can definitely see the difference in the height. These are a 6-inch figure, and these are obviously meant to be a 1/12 scale. They are quite a bit taller. I personally would not be displaying those together either, just because they look a lot different. The Lightning Collection figures, you can tell that it's a £20 figure compared to most other things. I love them, don't get me wrong, but they aren't really something that you would be putting that to scale together. I think if you'd elevated them at the back, then you could kind of get away with it, but if you was to stand them right next to each other, then definitely not. But here they both are. You can see the difference in the articulation and how they stand. I've never had these fall over really. The Toys Battalion figures just seem to be falling over every 5 minutes. Next up, we've got Legacy figure. Now these scale very well together. If you was to put those together with mmPR, I reckon you are onto a winner there, because they are the same height. They're both, I believe, 7 inches. The body's around about the same. Yeah, the Legacy looks a bit more muscular, but this is hidden by a lot of armor anyway, so you would definitely get away with putting those together if you wanted to display something mmPR and movie based next to each other. I do think this is the way to go. Lastly, we've got the True New Toys. So this is another 1/12 scale figure. It does scale a little bit better than the Mezco ones. They do tend to be a little bit bigger, but at the same time, they're a lot thicker as well. I believe, and I could be completely wrong, that these both figures come from the same manufacturer. If not, they are like a sister company. I could be completely wrong, but just based off of some of the work that I've done with them and stuff that they've sent me in the last couple of months, and again, could be completely wrong, but that's just what it feels like to me. They seem to be very involved with Toys Battalion stuff, and True New Toys, I believe, have changed their name since this is finished, but they're not too bad together. Obviously completely different sort of style of figure, but just another comparison to something of a similar size. So wrapping up this video with my final thoughts, would I recommend these? Yes and no. I mean, I would recommend these in the sense that if you're not bothered about how your display is going to look, or whether you're going to come in the morning and find them laying on the floor, then yes, pick them up because they do look very nice. If you want to play with them and pose them and make sure that they stood still, absolutely not. These do not do that in the time that I've recorded this video. I've had all of them at one point face plant the floor, probably on multiple occasions per figure, so it's not that great. The feet pegs are absolutely horrendous. I think the price is probably about right for what I paid. I'm quite happy with what I paid for them. You can see them having a little wobble just because I'm slightly touching the table, so I need to be a bit careful there, because once one falls down, they're all going to fall down. But anyway, I'm quite happy with the price that I paid. If it wasn't for the feet pegs and it was just that the hands were falling off every so often or whatever, I wouldn't really care. But the fact that I'm potentially damaging my figure every time I want it to stand up is a little bit annoying, because again, I don't want any damages to the front of the helmet, especially the noses, because you know that's the first thing that is going to go, is the point on the front of the helmet. Very limited articulation because of the suit, so again, I'm quite happy to have them just stood there as they are now. But I know a lot of people would like to pose them, and I'm sure there are people out there that will push them to the limits, but that is just not something that I would like to do. Back to the scaling of the figures. If you want to scale them with anything, just to summarize, Legacy is probably the one. Obviously, this was just another thing I couldn't say no to, so it needs to go in the collection, and hopefully I'll be able to find some stands. If this had come with some stands, that would have been spot on, and I would not have any problems at all, and this review may have been a little bit different, but this is a very disappointing set just based on that. And it could just be mine. I'm quite happy that I can either get a stand for it or put some nail polish in the joints and they should be okay, but I shouldn't have to do that for the money that I've paid. Obviously, this is just my opinion, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this something you've picked up already? Are you waiting just to see how they are? I know some people are very on the fence with these, so hopefully this review will help you either come to terms with spending the money or save you the money in the long run. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe to the channel because I've got tons of reviews still coming out weekly. I appreciate it as always, and I'll catch you soon.